Good afternoon. Welcome to the Sunsail Base in Palm Key, Nassau. It's a pleasure to be with you here, giving you a briefing for your charter to the Exumas. My name is Travis Spicer. I am a part of the customer service team. Sunsail starts begin at 6 p.m. That is your boarding time. It's a sleeper board. Typically, time permitting, we would do a walkthrough either that evening or we'll schedule it for first thing in the morning, and then you set out after your briefing requirements have been done. You are asked not to board the vessel on your own. You will be escorted on board by a member of the customer service team. Your boat briefing will be done on board your specific yacht. If your yacht is not available for any reason, we will then do your boat briefing on board a similar vessel that is ready for boarding. Before you leave the docks, you want to ensure that you have the proper amount of life jackets on board. If you have any children or smaller adults that need proper fitting life jackets that are not available, please contact customer service and we'll do our best to have a proper fitted jacket for those individuals. Additionally, you want to ensure that the water tanks and fuel tanks are full before you depart. You also want to test all of the heads on board and to ensure that the toilets are flushing properly. If you block any of the toilets with any foreign objects, you will be charged $100 to unblock those heads. It is also recommended that you familiarize yourself with the dinghy and outboard and also the proper storage method of the shore power cable. If you request the provisions through the Sunsail website, those provisions will be set up on board the vessel for you. If there are any discrepancies in your provision order, please contact customer service and we will work with the provision staff to ensure that it is corrected. If you are doing your own provisioning, Solomon's Supermarket is the closest supermarket to this base, and just note that any further provisions for the charter would have to be conducted at Staniel Key. So it's best to do a healthy provision here in Nassau before you depart, because for the most part, the Exumas are going to be isolated and you will not have an opportunity to do any shopping for the most of the Exumas. You also want to ensure that you have the proper amount of fins and proper fitting mask on board. The fins are located in a bin that is on the pier right next to your vessel. You are also required to leave credit card authorization information at the front desk before you leave the base. This will serve as your security deposit for the duration of your charter. Once you return from charter and there were no incidences of grounding or otherwise, damage otherwise, your information is released and you are clear to go. Prior to departing from the dock, you want to ensure that you can check back your inventory checklist to ensure that you have all the equipment that you need. If there are any items that are missing or if you're not clear on the location of those items, contact customer service at the office and we'd be happy to assist you in locating or placing those items on board your vessel. With regard to communication with the Sunsail base, you can communicate with the base between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. by dialing 1-242-603-6667, or you can hail general hailing on VHF channel 16 for marinas, restaurants, and ship to ship. You can reach the Sunsail office on VHF channel 82. However, this is very limited in range, so this only works in the immediate vicinity of the base. If you need to contact the Sunsail representative after hours, you can reach us at cell number 1-242-577-4461 or 1-242-577-4464. If you come across any technical difficulties, we do have a service partner named Chubby in Staniel Key. We will contact them on your behalf. The customer service office is open from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. However, there will be a representative here to assist you with boarding in the evening. And just note that if there are no representatives around, you can also contact us at the cell numbers provided below. The fuel dock here at Palm Key closes at 5 p.m. If you're returning to the Sunsail base in the evening, we ask that you arrive back at the fuel dock by 4 p.m. latest. At this time, you will go to the fuel dock, a Sunsail representative will come down to the vessel and pilot your vessel from the fuel dock into your slip. If you are going to be arriving after 4 p.m., you need to contact the Sunsail base in advance because Palm Key locks the entrance of the marina and you do not want to be locked out without notice. There are no automated weather services available in the Exumas, so if you need weather reports, you can contact the base or you can use weather apps on your telephone or smart devices. You will be given a weather projection prior to departing from the base, but we do encourage you to regularly get updated weather reports, especially during this time of the year, which goes into my next slide. We are in the hurricane season. And so during the hurricane season, you want to ensure that you're monitoring the weather for any tropical developments. If there are any developments that occur that threaten yourself or the vessel, we will issue a general recall and summon you back to the base. The captain is responsible for making good navigational decisions. Be aware of unmarked shoals and other hazards. And of course, you want to be very careful when maneuvering around coral reefs. You do not want to collide or damage any of the delicate reef systems that are throughout the Exumas. The cruising range for the Exumas for charters for 7 days or less will typically extend from Highbourne Key in the north, and it'll extend as far south as Daniel Key in the southern aspect of the range. So your cruising range is the northern Exuma chain. In the middle of this chain, there is the Exuma Land Sea Park, as indicated by the dotted lines. And just note that whenever you enter this area, this Land Sea Park, you are not permitted to dump any black water. You are not permitted to dump your holding tanks. You are not permitted to fish or trap or spear any of the wildlife. And all garbage must remain on board until you exit this park area, and then you can discard it at the nearest marina. For the sake of charts, we're going to start at the northern edge of the cruising range, which is Highbourne Key. And my charts are going to work our way south until we arrive at Staniel Key. Now, though my charts cover from north to south, just note that typically for an itinerary, clients will stagger the destinations so that they hit half of the destinations heading south to Staniel, and then they'll hit the other half of the destinations working their way back up north as they get set to cross back over to Nassau. With that said, we'll take a look at our first destination, which is Highbourne Key. Your approach to Highbourne is going to be from the northwestern direction. When you approach Highbourne, one option that you can utilize is to bring the vessel and anchor in this northern cove right here at Southwest Allen's Key, where you see the anchor symbol. Once you anchor the vessel here, you can then take your dinghy and dinghy over to Leaf Key or to Allen's Key. And on the beaches on these two keys, you will find the indigenous Exuma iguanas. These are iguanas that are only found in the Exumas. You can feel free to feed them bread and crackers and such, but otherwise, we ask that you do not touch them, trap them, just take pictures. Aside from anchoring here, you can also bring the vessel around this coral embankment here. So you're coming around the western side. And if you wish to anchor overnight, you can anchor the vessel in this vicinity here to the western side of Highbourne Key proper. Whenever you anchor the vessel, you want to be sure to always look for white sandy bottoms. You want to also utilize a minimum scope of 5:1 and be sure that you are well clear of any coral reefs or any other obstacles should the wind or current shift and ship your vessel. So again, make sure sandy bottoms, 5:1 scope, and that you're clear of any obstacles. Now, once you situate the vessel here on anchorage at Highbourne, you can then dinghy to these reef systems here for snorkeling or fishing. And you can also dinghy or take the vessel if you wish and go straight in here to Highbourne Marina. The marina offers a full service of fuel, water, ice for topping off the vessel's vessel amenities. Otherwise, there's a shark feeding session that they have in the evenings. You can also enjoy that as well. You do not want to anchor anywhere in the vicinity of these passages that feed water from the deep ocean waters out here to the shallow banks on the western side. There's lots of current that flows in between these through these channels and cuts, and so we ask that you do not anchor in these channels or cuts because the tides, the currents will upset your anchor and you could possibly drag or lose anchor holding altogether. There are other suggested anchorages here throughout the chart, so you can see anchor symbols. Just make sure that the water depth is sufficient for the vessel at low tide. Once you move south of Highbourne Key, our next destination is Norman's Key. On your approach to Norman's Key, it's very important that as you make your way southward, you make your way around Norman's Bar. You never go in between Norman's Bar and Norman's Key in this area here. This is shifting sand and you will ground. So it's important that you come around the western side of Norman's Bar and you're coming underneath, and then your approach is going to bring you along this visual plan route, and then you can anchor in this basin here. This is an excellent anchorage for overnight anchoring. And from here, you can launch a dinghy to go ashore. There are beaches all along the western side here of Norman's Key. And there's also a restaurant right here called McDuff's. The main calling card for these for Norman's Key is to leave the yacht on anchorage, and you can take your dinghy and you can bring it around to the southern side, and you can go snorkeling on this plain wreck here. It's relatively shallow water, so it makes for easy snorkeling. It's recommended that you do this at low tide, so there's minimal effect from the current flowing from the ocean into the shallows. You can bring the yacht to anchor in this vicinity, but it would be treated as a temporary anchorage and only done at low tide, so as not to threaten to upset the anchor and have you drag. Again, the main calling card is that plain wreck. At night, if you wish to do some stargazing, many people go onto the beach and they walk across the old airport, and you can look up at the stars from the old airport strip. Now, once you move south of Norman's Key, the next destination would then be Shroud Key. As you approach Shroud Key, you will now be entering the northern part of the Land and Sea Park. This is the boundary here. So you're coming down into the park. Once you're in the park, again, make sure your holding tank discharges are closed. Make sure you're not fishing. And of course, there should be no discarding of garbage on land. To stay at Shroud, you're going to anchor the vessel right here. There are mooring balls in this vicinity. However, it's up to the skippers to determine whether these mooring balls are actually in good enough condition to hold the vessel. Most of my clients tend to just anchor. You find wonderful white sandy bottoms, excellent holding. If you do grab mooring balls anywhere in the Exuma Keys, there will be a charge of $45 per night. Once you secure the vessel on anchorage or mooring ball, you can take your dinghy all water toys and enter into the mangroves. This is the main calling card for Shroud Key. This being a mangroves ecosystem, it's home to a lot of juvenile fish, birds, turtles, and such. So it's excellent for taking in nature. You definitely want to make your way across to this swimming hole here. They call this the boiling hole. Excellent swimming in there. And then when you go to exit, the easiest way to exit would be to follow this main route here. Again, you can do this with the dinghy or with your water toys. I reckon that this crossing here in the mangroves is probably about half a mile to 3/4 of a mile in total. So very easy to navigate and to track through. You can also take the dinghy and you can explore these wonderful sandbars if you want to go walking on sandbanks, swimming for smaller kids as well because it's relatively shallow. Just an overall excellent retreat. Once you move south of Shroud Key, the next destination is Wardrick Wells. Wardrick Wells is where the park headquarters are located. And so if you wish to grab a mooring ball or go to the park headquarters, you're going to bring the yacht through this northern route and follow the channel that feeds into this small basin. In this basin, you'll find mooring balls that you can affix your yacht to. Anchoring is not permitted. And once you grab a mooring ball in this field, you can then dive off the vessel and you can snorkel on the coral gardens that's located right by the mooring balls. If you do not wish to pay for the mooring facilities here, you can also bring the vessel around. This is a very shallow embankment here, so you're coming around that shallow water, and you can bring the vessel and anchor off in this area. And from here, you can then take your dinghy and dinghy up to the coral garden. The park headquarters is located right here. And so it's easy to dinghy from the mooring balls here to the park headquarters. I recommend that all of my clients visit it. You can get literature and maps on the nature trails on shore, and it also has literature on the wildlife that you can expect to see while visiting the park. Again, the mooring balls will be about $45 per night, so be prepared to pay if you do decide to exercise that option. Most folks would then take the dinghy, and you can use the dinghy to also explore more sandbanks and smaller creek areas here. and through here. Now, when you're in Wardrook Wells, just know that you're in a dead zone, so you will have no cell or data signal. And so it's best that you have your weather downloaded or printed before you enter this area, because again, you will not be able to access this through your data services. Once you move south of the Wardrook Wells area, you're then on your way to Compass Key. Compass Key, this area is the southern park boundary, so you're now exiting the park as you approach Compass Key's entrance. To enter the Compass Key Marina facility, you'll have to follow this marked channel. That will then veer off to the starboard side, and again, you'll follow this marked channel all the way through until you arrive at Compass Key Marina right here. Compass Key Marina is a full-service marina. They have shark feeding there as well. Wonderful restaurant, and so it's a nice, good taste of civilization after the whole park experience. If you do not wish to take the vessel to stay at the marina, you can bring the vessel for day anchorage down here. The reason I stress that this is day anchorage is because this area is susceptible to current, and so just not the best thing to do overnight unless you're going to stay to watch. For overnight anchorages, most of my clients will come out of this area and work their way down to either Pipe Key, or better yet, they'll come down here to Samson Key. That's an excellent anchorage there for the vessel. And this will also allow you access for your dinghy to access the Pike Creek area. These creeks here are an excellent opportunity to do nature spotting, fishing, and just general exploring. Beautiful creek area, relatively shallow waters, perfect for dinghying and snorkeling. Once you go south of this Compass and Pike Creek area, we're now entering the vicinity of Staniel Key. But before we talk about Staniel Key, as you work your way south, the first place most clients will opt to stop is to anchor here by the Bay of Pigs. The reason this is called the Bay of Pigs is because the world famous swimming pigs live on big major spot on this beach. And so once you anchor the vessel offshore, the pigs will swim out to your vessel looking for food. You can take your dinghy and get closer to the shore if you wish. I do not recommend that you go on shore because the pigs can be a little aggressive, especially if they're hungry. So it's best to feed them from the vessel or from the dinghy just offshore. We usually feed them things like carrots and apples, so more of the healthy vegetables. Once you've had your fill of the pig experience, you can bring the vessel around Big Major Spot and you can anchor off on the south side for overnighting. And this is also an excellent vantage place to launch your dinghy to head over to the Thunderball Grotto, which is right here. The Thunderball Grotto is definitely one of the bigger calling cards of the area. It's best that you check it out at low tide because it makes it easier for you to swim into the grotto cave. And if you wish to bring the yacht closer, you can do so by bringing the vessel through this cut here, just off of the Staniel Key Yacht Club, and you're going to anchor the yacht right here by the grotto. Once you anchor here, you can swim or dinghy over to the grotto and check it out. Otherwise, for Staniel Key experience, you're going to go into the Staniel Key Yacht Club, which is right here. And this will allow you the opportunity to refuel your power cats, to top off your water if you need ice. You can get all of the amenities for the vessel here. And there's a beautiful settlement along that western coast where you'll find restaurants, convenience store, and other creature comforts. Staniel Key offers the only real provisioning opportunity in the Exumas. And so as I stressed earlier, make sure you provision well in Nassau, and just know that you probably won't top off on provisions until you arrive here at Staniel Key at the bottom of the range. Again, charters that are folks who are on charters for 7 days or less will not go further south than Staniel Key. And then they'll start working their way back north. Now, in case of any collisions or groundings or any other major damage, please contact the Sunsail base as soon as possible. We will arrange technical assistance or provide advice where necessary. Whenever you anchor, it is imperative that you only anchor on white sandy bottoms and use a minimum scope of 5-to-1. The windless speed on the catamarans tend to generally be about 1 foot per second. However, I leave it up to the skippers to formulate their best guesstimating tactics to ascertain scope. Each of the yachts have about 150 feet of unmarked chain, and again, the windless speed is about 1 foot per second, but it varies. Do not anchor closely to other vessels or to reefs or any other obstacles. Be sure to dive the anchor, make sure it's set properly in the sand. Whenever you have a diver in the water, it's very important that you hoist a dive flag, whether it be floating in the water or hoisted on the vessel itself. That way other vessels know that you have someone in the water. When you snorkel, it's recommended that you snorkel as a group. If anyone snorkels on their own, they should let someone know how long and where they're going. Whenever you do snorkel, go back. Whenever you do snorkel, again, it's imperative that you use your dive flag and exercise good caution. When you use the dinghy, make sure that you have the dinghy anchor, the flashlight canister, life jackets, paddles, and such. So you want to make sure you have a flashlight, the 360 night light, the dinghy anchor, some life vest, and there's a canister for keeping things dry as well. There are also paddles that are going to be strapped in the dinghy. Make sure your dinghy has those paddles in case you have an engine failure. You are typically not permitted to tow the dinghy behind the vessel. As such, make sure that the dinghy's painter line never gets caught in any propellers. Make sure that the outboard of the dinghy stays tightly fastened to the dinghy hull so it doesn't fall off. And for the vessels that have charcoal grills, you want to ensure that the dinghy is moved away from the grill vicinity so you don't set it on fire. If you have water toys on board, you ask to always wear life jackets when using those toys. Let people know where you're going. You definitely want to take lots of adequate drinking water, wear sun protection, and never use the water toys at night. The Sunsail guarantee covers you between Highborn Key and Staniel Key. For those folks who are on charter for more than 7 days who wish to go further south or to different islands, there is a waiver and release form that you can request at the front desk. We also ask that you submit a float plan to management to place on file. Do not leave any corrugated cardboard on board the vessels. Those vessels can be home to bugs, roaches, and such. You don't want them infesting the vessel. Do not raft up against any other vessels. And the Bahamas government and the mooring Sunsail outfit has zero tolerance for firearms and illicit drugs. When returning to the base at the end of your charter, we ask that you contact us 20 minutes prior to your arrival in the harbor itself. You're going to take the vessel to the Palm Key Marina fuel dock. Once you conduct the fueling, we will send the Sunsail representative down to your vessel to pilot your vessel back into the Sunsail slip at the base. All Sunsail charters end at 11 a.m. For cleaning the vessel, we only ask that you have all garbage sealed off in big garbage bags. You can leave them on the deck. Make sure that the dishes are done. And you can strip all linens and towels and just pile them up on the floor in the various staterooms or in the main saloon area. We ask that you assist us in completing the debrief form, and we ask that you also take ample time to properly pack so that you do not forget any personal items. For adequate time of disembarkation, I usually generally recommend you make provisions to be at the fuel dock by 10 a.m. latest. That will give you an hour to refuel, debrief, and to disembark. If you're late getting off the vessel, the base manager can charge you for the late departure at his discretion. Tips are graciously accepted. If you wish to tip the whole base, you can do so at the front desk. The tips amounts and whether you do so is solely up to the discretion of our clients.